Hello. How's everybody doing? Kingmaker, Season 4, Session 9, Part 1. How are you doing?
I didn't mute the stream.
Test.
There's so many Daelrics.
Do you want to unmute it? I can put on DJ Myson for you.
No, I'm good.
DJ Myson.
Are you sure? Because there are worse things out there, Tash.
Oh, no.
There are much worse things out there.
Oh, what was that?
That's eye bleach.
I've seen that too many times this week already trying to catch up.
You don't watch Lost Initiative, do you?
No, but I
Who
saw
watches Lost
the
Initiative? It's
screenshot.
inferior in every way.
I'm
no,
sorry.
No
I didn't
blame
hear
to anyone who's on LI.
I didn't hear anything that you said or anything that Neil said because Neil talked over you, Tash. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I said I saw the screenshot is what I didn't see the episode, but I saw the screenshot.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's don't watch it. It gets weird. It gets
no.
Wow.
It gets
Last
weird.
week was a shit shot, not even a shit show. Just a shit shot. Just knock it back.
Honestly, you'd be better off. It got weird. Brittany got involved. It got weirder. Like it got weird. It was weird. Yeah.
See, now you've done that, I need to go back and watch it.
You know, like the first hour is like regular Lost Initiative for the most part, and then it gets weird. Speaking of the first hour, welcome to
Aurorum Kingmaker, Season 4, Session 9.
Part 1. My brain just all of a sudden, as soon as I said welcome to, all of a sudden my brain went, "You need sleep," and I was like, "Okay."
Dead time now.
It's pillow. It's nice. Nice pillow. Tired. All right.
Scraping.
It's okay. So, last week, fun things happened. Yes, Neil. Fun things happened.
Did you realize I was about to say something?
Yes, I did. I saw you go.
I was about to say, can you believe that this guy gets paid and we don't?
William, don't do that. Nobody wants to see that.
Apparently, you need your turnips, Scott.
I mean, I like turnip. Like turnip and cabbage is really good.
Oh, parsnip.
Stalk market.
That is the best nip.
I'll take cabbage. Leave your turnips
Parsnip.
at home.
Honey roasted parsnip. Oh.
Dude, I don't know if have I had parsnip?
I'm sure you have.
What? Have you not?
I mean,
It's not great. It's not great.
It is great. You clearly aren't.
You don't know what a
cooking it right.
parsnip
It's not
is?
great.
You're about to type in Google parsnip?
Yeah, just for funsies.
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't know.
carrot.
You
Yeah, I don't know
probably
if I've
you might
had-
not have eaten it, but you probably put it up your bum at some point.
No, I'm sure I've had it in stuff like a million times, but I don't think I've ever personally cooked with it.
You roast a roasted nip on its own.
I just realized what I said. I more or less just agreed with him.
Yeah.
That's why I lost it. It's because
Steve, if you clip
pretended
that
to
for
be
me, thank
shocked.
you.
I was pretending to be shocked by what Neil said, and then you said that.
Oh,
You know, the man did have a golf ball up his ass.
actually, funny enough, never mind. I was posting videos and I had to listen to that whole beginning before, and you were like, "Oh, is that what you have in your ass aside from the?" So yeah, because I googled it, and turnip I've had, obviously parsley, carrots, radishes, all the other stuff that popped up. Yeah, I think parsnip is the only thing I've never cooked with, but that's
You've
fine.
never had a parsnip?
Maybe, but
You're not missing out on much.
You are. Like, I hate to say it, but you're clearly a Domino's pizza of parsnips. You can't cook them, obviously. Parsnips are fantastic.
I know how to make parsnips. It's the actual flavor of the parsnip that is
What? This guy's
It's a mediocre carrot. I'd rather have beets than
I like
parsnips
beets.
any day.
I like beets. I like turnip again, and some radishes and other things that are like very rooty vegetables.
Welcome to the vegetable stream, guys. If you want to
Ken's-
tell us in chat what vegetable you have eaten, just chuck it in and we'll talk about it now.
Or what you could do. What you could do.
Hold on, Jake.
is-
How many
is tell
times have
us-
we argued about Vegemite or whatever that crap is that you guys like?
Vegemite.
Like
Vegemite.
Yeah.
guys.
Is that a
Jake
statement
and
about the
Tesh are
intellect of the
Vegemite.
regicide crew?
Neil is Marmite. All right, come on, get it right.
Yeah, Marmite is fucking rare.
Oh, God.
Let's not say
What, you don't like salty yeast on your bread?
Yeah, of course you do. It's fucking, and it's yeast extract. Can we just, let's not say something so mundane as what veg have you eaten recently? What root vegetable would we be? Scott, what would Scott be?
Scott would be a carrot. Look at him.
No, radish.
No, just look at him. Look at his face. He's a carrot.
He'd be like a short carrot.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
one
not
that you
even
pull out.
short.
You
I'm
pull
not
out
even
and you're
short.
just like this is fine.
Sure, but
like you have to work really hard to get it out and you're like, come on, and then it's just like fucking just this little nub.
I'm just gonna play into the stereotype. I'm just gonna go potato. Potato fits me.
Yeah, you're wholesome.
Well, he
Good.
means because he's Irish.
He's not Irish.
Of Irish descent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't
I'm
make
of
you
Irish
Irish.
descent.
Well, in
say
America,
I'm Irish.
you categorize yourself as to being from somewhere else. Like America
Oh.
takes pride in being
And-
from somewhere else.
Where did your family immigrate from? That's where you.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's get to the actual show. Before we jump into the story and everything, we of course don't want to, even though things are starting to quiet down a bit in certain parts of the country, actually across the board, there are a lot of places where things are staying loud as they should be, and attention should stay on the huge social movement that's going on, because hopefully it's more than just a social movement happening. Hopefully it's actually some real laws are getting passed. And I do apologize as somebody who generally votes left for all of the Democrats that walking around wearing the outfits that they have been lately to show solidarity. I'm like, there's ways to show solidarity. Wearing those scarves and dresses and ties and pins and whatnot that you have been are a very interesting way of choosing to do so. But you know, that's cool. Thank you for that.
Okay.
But making sure that the conversation, of course, stays where it needs to be, and that pressure stays on the politicians to actually have some legitimate reform to be done, to make sure that there's some degree of equality for people across the board in their life experiences, and hopefully everybody can be equal soon, because it's bullshit that it isn't, you know. All right, gentlemen. Oh, Sound came on. The wolf and storm came on.
We have a tabaxi person to help us with our fight.
Tabaxi aren't in this world because, truth be told, we don't want tabaxi in this world. The problem is, once you involve tabaxi, you have a lot of people that want to come in and be furries in your campaign, and you don't necessarily want that, do you?
I mean, to be quite honest, who would wear a full like cat bodysuit? You know, who would do that?
I don't know. Tesh, you got to deal with that?
No comment.
Hearing a lot of kink shaming going on here, and I don't like it.
No. I mean, I'm not shaming anyone for their kink. I'm shaming Scott.
Well, he likes that, so that's one of his
But
kinks.
it's not his kink.
It's one of his kinks. Is being
Speaking
kinked.
of kink, let's smooth out the kink
Wait.
in this campaign by going over to the interesting things happening. So I
All right,
actually
I'm getting
think
away.
Oh my
that
god, how did you know that, Anno? I did a test once. I'm like 94% scaly.
moving on. That's actually so let's go over to I was gonna say Jake, if
You're
if he's
scared
good.
rocket off. This is your fault.
Saw the cat, and the cat's it's on the floor.
Are those supposed to be like seductive meows? I don't really get it.
I don't know.
It's the face that Scott's putting. He's like,
It's just moving on. Moving on.
Oh, this is painful. Let's stop. Going over to you, Jake. Jake, you, as discussed multiple Fridays ago, or your Saturdays, you had actually had visitors. So while they kind of went off and and so on and so forth, and they were kind of handling stuff elsewhere. You actually had somebody come through you bumped into people in the woods, escorted them back to Kurzfall, had a little bit of an excursion, and then they were going to part ways. But before they parted ways, you wanted to have a conversation with a woman by the name of Ophelia that happened to be traveling with them. She said she was willing to converse. Obviously, she's not going to be completely forthright about everything because she don't know you, but she was willing to have a conversation with you. So I believe you were looking to meet with her in your throne room.
No, to be. If are they at an inn or something like that?
They are guests of your castle. They can be wherever you'd like.
All right. Well, I'd meet with her privately because obviously this was a big secretive thing that she was alluding to. So wherever that may be.
It's your castle, man.
Somewhere at the map room.
Sure. Okay. So the two of you are meeting inside the map room. She goes in there and
actually, no, I wouldn't. I actually wouldn't bring her in the map room. Just in the throne room, but there'd be no audience with council or anything else.
Sure. Okay. So right out in the throne room, and the two of you are going to be able to have your conversation. I'll allow you to open up. She'll actually, you know what? She'll say, as you kind of like call her in there, she'll say, "So you're not dead. It's nice to see that things went well."
They did. And I've held up my end of the deal. Now it's time for you to hold up yours.
What would you like to know?
As much as you can. You were rather vague, but you promised me more information if I acquiesced to your request.
I'm willing to share with you information about these creatures because they are a danger. The easiest way to describe them is as a degree of infiltrators, but I don't think you have to worry about it here. I could be wrong. They're going to be infiltrators. They're infiltrators into the nation Paradel. They have been for some time. We've been hunting them for some time. Lopers, that's the name that they're called here. And they found themselves into comfortable positions of influence and power. We've even recently discovered that they may have taken over an entire family line in Paradel. A very influential one. Don't even ask who it is. I'm not going to tell you, because you could tip them off. I don't trust you that much. My goal is to hunt them down and to kill them.
Okay. What are they doing in Paradel?
We don't know entirely, but we do know that their placement, positions that they've taken, they're nudging that nation to do their bidding. We all know what Paradel does to one degree or another. I'm sure you give a fuck more than I do. But they, it wouldn't surprise me if they were the engine behind that.
Okay. So these Lopers are infiltrating Paradel. Their presence is not known to most of the parent.
Correct. Nobody knows who they are, and a lot of people would think that it's a crazy notion. Like people believing that dwarves exist.
Yeah, crazy. So what are you hoping to accomplish with the commander you brought with you?
I have an associate up north who happens to be friends with this foolish woman named Rena. Rena has her own qualms with the nation, and so she's doing her own revolution or whatever it might be. I honestly don't give a shit. It's a stupid idea. A couple of, brigands trying to fight against an entire nation. It was foolhardy to say the least. Downright insane, if I'm being honest. And he has chosen to tie himself up with her, which is fine, but he has a greater purpose. His significance is to aid me with my cause. Because of their actions, they found themselves in a prison that is known as the Gate. I don't know much about this prison, but what I understand, you don't want to go there. I figure by assisting him in his investigation into these matters, we can expedite their time at the Gate. He will go and release them and potentially even aid us in our cause. I can have Ophios back. We can have Rena hopefully focused in the right direction. And maybe this fool will help us as well.
Well, benefits me if Paradel is looking within rather than beyond, even though I guess we are within Paradel. But where are you going now? You going with the commander to
Southeast, as he said,
the southeast?
to go investigate.
Is that Austria?
Correct, yep.
Yeah.
To investigate the matters involved down there. And truth be told, I think he intends to head into the heart of Paradel as we pass through. I honestly think that he intends to go and try to meet with one of them.
Meet with one of them?
Yes. As I
One
said,
of the Lopez?
they have positions of influence. And so does he.
Well, if they've got enough, has got as much power as the thing we fought downstairs, you've got your work cut out for you. Be wary with the commander. He seems like a good man, but sense of duty might be stronger than you think. Good luck. I will send some of our guard with you. I believe that was requested. And should you find out any other information, we could always use a good tip. Likewise, if for some reason we encounter more of them, it might be beneficial to you if we conveyed some information with you.
I believe he was the one that requested the guards, correct?
I think so.
Yeah. She'd be like, can you do me a favor? Don't send the guards.
Why?
Because they're coming with the Paradel, and anything with them gets tangled up. It's a mess. I prefer to travel small, light. If I need to slip away in the middle of the night because I don't like the way things are going with this man, we don't necessarily need your people on the line. You seem to not be a terrible person. Let's not put your own people at risk here.
Okay. I'll take that in consideration. Is there anything else you could tell me? Something that, anything that could be beneficial?
Just that anybody who voted for Tesh to be an earthbender doesn't understand what earthbenders are on Twitter.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Noted. And I'm all good.
I appreciate your I appreciate your helping us in this matter and putting that thing to rest.
No.
If I actually
Problem.
may be so bold, she's actually going to slowly draw out. It almost makes you think of Elliot, a binder, like a book, and a quill. From your own perspective, could you give me an account of the creature, just so I can keep note of it? What you experienced, I had never heard of prior, and it's actually my responsibility to keep document. You don't have to roleplay this. You can just say, I recount the events.
I want to sense motive honor.
Sure.
As well.
She pretends she's writing down, but actually she's sketching you.
34. You
There's
can't
a
read
little
her.
light blush.
She's stone cold. You can't read her expressions.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, she's obviously she was the entire time you were in the meeting with her, she was being reserved, right? She was not being completely forthright about everything. But it makes sense, right? But you know that she's being completely honest about, I want to recount of the events. She record of these things, which makes sense. She didn't go and fight the creature, did she? She came with knowledge, traveling with people carrying knowledge, and doesn't seem to be fighting. So,
okay, then I just give the recount or whatever, described as vividly as I could.
Perfect. Awesome. She'll of course give like whatever appropriate bow she would have seen other people in the kingdom do, and as she walks out the door, she says, "Clearly, he's a waterbender," and lets it shut behind her.
Okay. I would summon a guard and issue orders for them to
murder them all.
Go through the portal to Hodgwen and retrieve me one of those. I don't know if it matters or not, but I want one of those 2 orcs that I was familiar with, that were the ones that actually went and got the rest of the orcs.
Did you have their names at one point in time?
I did. I need to keep notes.
I did. Okay, I don't now.
Yeah.
So Tesh, you know what's really funny? Sorry, side note, because I'm gonna finish that conversation. So I never get to talk to you. Funny side note. Literally, I of course voted water. I saw afterwards your sister voted water. I was like, that's right. And then I saw that Earth had won the vote, and then literally the next day, I watched the episode where Toph is training Aang how to do earthbending, and I was like, yeah, that's 100% Tesh. Just stand there and smash rocks with his face until they break. That's Tesh. Across the board.
Toph is like an exceptional earthbender and shouldn't be used as the rule.
Sure. But that's still, if you look at all earthbenders examples.
I'm not saying I disagree with you. I totally agree with you that earthbending is not the correct for Tesh. But I'm surprised why you went for water over air.
Well, Tesh reminds me of in Legends of Korra when Boomy is an airbender.
I actually did not see that movie.
Oh, it's a series.
Sorry,
it's the next series.
I never saw all of
natural to them, but then
everything.
they do it so well. That's what Tesh reminds me.
Yeah.
So it was, my apologies, because airbender is whimsical. It's lighthearted, it's whimsical, and so on and so forth. Waterbender is bombing. It's even measured. Like, you can certainly bring forward like that sharp edge, that like the kind of like that hard ice, right? But at the same time, you're also going to be more bombing, more caring. Has that like a healing attribute to it. You kind of know how to settle correctly into the scenario and fitting comfortably with others. What waterbender? I don't know. I see Tesh waterbender.
Doesn't have that ice edge.
Yes, it does.
He can defend himself if needs be, like an airbender. But he doesn't have an ice edge. No.
What are you talking about? They literally throw shards
what do
of
you
ice
think
at people.
You are, Tesh?
Yes, but that's why Tesh is not a waterbender.
Tesh's like, I'm a firebender.
Tesh is
honestly,
an airbender.
I need to
Clearly fire, by the way.
Yeah, he's an airbender.
Sorry.
You, Scott, are an earthbender.
Yeah,
you think
Scott.
so?
Scott, you're an earthbender.
Because you're basic.
I'll take.
You're stubborn.
Okay. Hold on. Do I kick him
I
for the call?
want to be a waterbender, but I'm an earthbender. I can't deny it.
I want to be an airbender, but I actually always assumed I'm fire because I'm obnoxious.
No, you're not fire.
No. Like, I always want to be air. Like, I want to be air. Like, hard and whimsical.
No, you're definitely an earthbender.
If you were fire, you would go the Azula route and just become batshit crazy.
Who's Azula?
The sister of Zuko.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry. I don't know all the names.
So back to Kingmaker.
Yeah.
This is very important, though. I thoroughly enjoy this conversation. Jake is a firebender. Scott is Scott is not an airbender. I'm sorry.
I wish I was an airbender. I'm not.
Yeah,
And
I wish I was a waterbender.
I dated a Wiccan before because that has a lot of value to it, I guess. And they said that I have out of my 9 parts of elements that like 6 of them were fire, and I was like, why are there 9 parts of elements? I don't get it. But I don't know. It meant something to her. So okay.
Anyway,
We'll let that sit
moving
there.
on. Speaking of elements, weren't we at an elemental?
Yes. You guys actually spent.
Jake was just talking about what the orcs first.
Oh, fine. We'll stick with Jake. He did nothing last session.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, doesn't an orc come back? Or...
What?
I don't know what's happening.
He's being an earthbender about it.
Being
Just
proving a point.
Sorry.
we have a limited time today.
So Jake,
We have limited time.
did you ever come up with names for them or no?
No, you actually gave me their names, but I just don't remember what they are.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, I don't remember either. So you, one of the orcs comes back. Hey.
I have a job for you. I need you to accompany these people. One's a commander from Paradel, the other is from Malta, and the other is a parent woman. Now, they have no experience in dealing with the undead. So accompany them part way to their destination and then break off. Shadow behind them a little bit, make sure they're safe, and then leave them be.
The man before you, clad in heavy leathers, broad-shouldered, big-booted, with several weapons hanging from him, looks the most discreet that you see here. But granted, you are inside of a castle. He's like, yeah.
Good. And report back when your task is done.
Perfect. And so he will go and handle that matter. Quick thing to chat before I throw it over to Will and Tesh. I did put a sound gate up at one point in time. I know normally when I speak, there's no issues whatsoever. But if I do those kind of like grunty noises where it's a little breathy at first, like, does that cut off for you guys? Does it sound like it jumps in jarring or cuts off too soon? Or does it sound normal? I only put up the sound gate because I have a dehumidifier going and I don't want you to hear it. And the music is low intentionally because sometimes it gets really loud. Awesome. Going to you, sir, boys.
We're a little hard to do both of us at the moment. We're in different locations in Idir.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys were both there for the study that was multiple days. Did Illing go somewhere else? I don't recall. I'm sorry.
Yes, very much so.
I'm sorry.
There was the whole thing with him getting the call from the martyr to go.
Oh my god!
It's kind of a big deal.
And I was thinking Neil did nothing last week, but it was actually Jake that did nothing last week. Neil actually did do something. So I'm sorry. Let's go to Will then, not you. My apologies.
Honestly, there's not much to go to with me because I'm just going to stay there for the few days and then go back.
But it's been a few days.
Oh, okay. Then I'd be going back.
Yeah. So I want to feed you the information that I'm going to go
Okay.
to. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
This is like a little while after I just get up. I have to go.
Yeah. Sorry. Everybody has to remember my weeks are very weird right now. Everything, like you have to understand, literally my schedule changes daily. Sometimes multiple times a day.
I have to go. Elliot and me. You good? Yeah, I'm fine. I got to go do this. All right. Well, I mean, if that's what you got to do.
Yeah, I remember now. I remember it with clarity now.
My
Like, he
exact
comes back
words
to the
were,
capital and he's like,
I've got to go to the Western Keep.
Ellen,
Then I just left.
So you boys, we're sitting there and have the conversation with the elemental the entire time. Do the best you can to try to coax information out of the elemental to do so. Now, you had obviously rolled beforehand your Be My Friends check.
Yep.
Elliot is also trying to be an aid in this matter as well. He's trying to learn as much information as well from this thing. So just make some checks to see how much info you do get out of the creatures. Excuse me. You have your Be My Friend Elemental check. You also have... Give me one moment. Knowledge Planes, correct?
No,
Oh, you do have Knowledge Planes. Okay, so it's Elliot that's using Knowledge
just
Planes.
knowledge nature. Yeah.
So I'm going to have you roll... oh, Elliot doesn't have Knowledge Planes either. Shit. That's fine.
If only I was there.
But you were there. Don't forget, for days.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to have you roll on this too, because you were there for days. So you're going to do your bombing kind of nicey check. I don't know if you set up a roll for that on your character sheet yet.
No.
You
But-
didn't. Well, what's it actually called?
Elemental empathy.
Okay, so we're going to set that up for you right now. Where's your character sheet? PCs. Nathan. Come on, pull up character sheet, character sheet. Come on.
Oh shit! Yeah, we leveled.
Yeah.
You said elemental empathy.
Yep.
And
Empathy.
I now have the correct additions to all my stats and CMD
Yeah.
and will and all that stuff that I did not have before because I didn't realize I had to do that stuff.
I think it's this one. You do this. I think that'll give you the
Oh.
9.
I went from a
There you go.
12
You're good, though.
CMD to a 17 CMD.
Cool. That's beautiful. That's a nice jump.
Quite a change.
All right. So for you, sir, you're gonna do the empathy of a
Oh, I
20.
didn't roll
Do you
HP.
want to modify that at all or no?
I'm
And Tesh, we have to tell you how many
go
luck
with-
dice
no.
we have. Okay. Elliot is of course gonna add his bit inside here because
2, but that's at the end of last session.
Yeah, no.
Elliot's gonna add his bit in here and how it is that he can help. His is gonna be linguistics because even though you guys can speak the language, trying to make sure that you understand the finer words of what's going on. More or less bridging any gap of knowledge that might be there. So he has a 19. Do you want him to use a luck die?
I would say yeah. It's important enough to.
Okay, I'm
Get that
using
20.
I'm using one of those to subtract it from the party. Hey, exactly 20. And Tesh, if you can roll me that knowledge planes check.
Yep.
And add a
We
luck
have
die on there.
one- Oh, cool. We have 2 luck dice. Okay. Oh, yeah.
You want to use a luck die to try to increase that one too? You have a chance of getting a 30.
No, I'm good.
Sure.
Yes, I think considering what's happening on the other side of Idir right now, we might need those luck dice.
Save those luck dice.
I have no idea what's happening on the other side of a deer, do you?
I will consider it as my character.
Can you imagine that Elliot like rolled over a 10 or something? If he did that, like just maybe
Once.
even twice.
Yeah, once ever. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? His modifiers are fucking gigantic.
He's a plus 15, rolls a 4. That's just unfortunately Elliot just always rolls terribly. It's so annoying. But what are you gonna do? So
He's me, but in game form.
so you guys are wait. You got punched in the face by Neil for being correct about something too?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm
anyway,
sorry.
In the face by Rayrin, actually.
Sure. So you guys have this conversation with this creature over the course of days, working through it. Now this is days, and these aren't small modifiers here. Granted, 2020 aren't the greatest, but it at least has success. But the knowledge planes means that you guys are able to understand. The creature is kind and willing to help you. You understands even the harder parts of its language that maybe your characters aren't familiar with. That's trying to say, like the more strange words or concepts, or whatever it is, are understood by Elliot, so you guys can communicate well. And you have a very strong understanding of the planes that maybe you didn't understand beforehand. You come to learn some pretty interesting info about the planes themselves. So this is kind of for you, Will, to deliver to the party as needed, but and Ilan, because he was there for most of it. You learn that the creature itself, as it said beforehand, it's subject to something called a fading. From the moment that it's born, it has a time span wherein it's slowly going to fade down and become nothing. The amount of fading that a creature suffers, the amount of its lifespan, is the same for the most part across all elementals. no matter what size they are born as. However, some elementals are born much, much, much larger than others. Some born much smaller than others, right? The degree of which they're born is the power of the individual elemental. But as the years roll on for those bigger or more powerful ones, they start to fade down to the smaller sizes, catching up with the small ones that were small all along. And eventually they snuff out entirely. That just unfortunately happens. When they snuff out, they cease to exist. You know that these creatures that come into existence, they're born within the plane itself, and that they have different personalities, but their personalities are kind of muted. Like, you kind of come to this understanding. I wish there was more I could give you. Unfortunately, you guys only crested a 26. You are able to get more than that, so I kind of have to stop with that subject some more. You do learn that all of the different planes are linked together. What you already kind of understood this out of game and even somewhat in game are kind of linked together to the other planes that that they touch. I'm going to pull something up really quickly. So as an example, just because of course you're speaking to a fire elemental before you, there are the fire plane, and you learn this fully, like no question in your mind. You understand this and can appreciate this. The fire plane not only touches where it gets close to the earth plane. There's a plane called the magma plane, or where it gets close to the air, there's a plane called the smoke plane. Where it reaches up and gets close to something called the positive energy plane, and that realistically very few understood to be real. Your characters, because of this campaign, understand it better than most in the world. It creates another plane called the radiance plane, and when it reaches down and gets close to where the negative energy is, it actually touches something called the ash plane. And again, we've even seen a creature come from the ash plane before, haven't we? The planes that reach to the sides, magma and smoke, are known as the para-elemental. The planes that reach up and down are known as the quasi-elemental planes, because they aren't quite as strong as the others. Here's something else that you understand. There is a degree of power, a degree of force that doesn't just come from the elemental planes. For the most part, actually, very rarely does the elemental planes come into the material plane, unless it comes to the material plane in two ways. It comes, one, in places where the fabrics happen to be weaker. They can kind of like bleed into this plane. That can happen for multiple reasons. One, maybe it's like naturally that way, more or less unexplained, probably not actually natural, but unexplained reasons, or like, some great event, human or mortal driven, great events took place to cause this bleeding or this thinning between the two planes to transpire. That kind of rings true from what you guys understand of the Barren Lands. Like, well, there is a bleed over effect that happens there, and there certainly was an event that happened here recently that caused stuff like that to happen, right? That makes sense to you. But also, it seems like mortals themselves, people themselves, happen to also be almost like taking a plug and sticking it into an outlet. Oh my God. That is amazing.
He's so adorable.
We're going to press pause in the campaign. Otto, now's your time.
He's so cute.
It is a cute puppy. Don't punish them, Otto. It was a cute puppy. Don't punish them for it. It's cute.
Me asked where he was. I had to acquiesce.
I won't lie. I mean, its face looks so small, but I just want to like bury my face in its face.
It's so cute. It's
a very cute dog.
It is super cute. So anyways, back to that. So you realize that each individual mortal, some to a much lesser degree, but others to a much greater degree, have the ability to tap into or to touch, and to some degree or another, the inner planes themselves, to touch these planes. And so that's where the
can touch the fire plane are known as firebenders.
God damn it.
Anno, now is your time. So so the
you ruined this.
ADHD, Neil, come on. The ones known as the mortals are able to tap into the planes themselves, and they are going to be the other bleed over effect that does happen to exist. Well, that was for you, Neil. So you
Fuck. I wasn't watching stream, but now I know what it is.
that's for you, Neil. I'll figure that one out. I'll figure that one out during the break. So anyways, back to you. So you I'm so sorry because it's been so and whatnot. I just want to reshore that up. There are bleed over effects that happen where there's the two planes will have like loose things that can happen from either A, naturally happening or unexplained events, or B, huge monstrous events like we've seen here in Idir. And then two, each individual mortal has a degree of like kind of almost like a plugin that can pull from those planes as well. But the other side of what I was trying to say here, not only does that plane's energy seem to flow through into the material plane, some degree of energy seems to flow through into the elemental planes as well. This is the important part, Will. Seems to flow through into the elemental planes as well. But when they do flow through into the elemental planes, for the most part, almost all of the energy that flows through from the material plane into the elemental planes, almost all of it, though not 100%, flows through into 4 planes specifically. Earth, fire, air, and water planes. They almost completely flow through into the primary or core elemental planes. From there, sometimes that energy can skip through the plane because sometimes it comes in massive waves as opposed to a trickle effect, which can cause it to almost skip through that plane into one of the other ones that it touches, either pulled up, down, or around into the other planes about. And so that's kind of like, it's almost like this huge churning engine of energy that happens to exist in the elemental planes, where whatever this energy is that flows inwards, flows in to those 4 motes, to those 4 points, and that's the wrong word there, flows into those 4 points, and then kind of like flows around to the para-elemental or out to the quasi-elemental, and sometimes even reaches all the way up, which is very far away, all the way up or all the way down to the polar planes, your positive and negative energy planes. Now, it is important to note when you're having a conversation with this fire elemental, it is only describing it from the perspective of the fire elemental. So it only describes to you all of these details about the fire elemental plane, some details of the magma, some details of the smoke, some of the ash, and some of the radiance. It speaks nothing of directly of the earth, water, air, and the ones that those touch, and speaks nothing of the positive and negative energy planes. However, because of, again, this campaign's unique understanding of those planes, and certainly Tesha's character's unique understanding of one of those 2 planes, your characters are able to kind of surmise the rest of what I've described there. This is, of course, not a quick conversation. Understanding these concepts, as I've described to you over the course of 45 minutes because of distractions, but realistically 2 minutes of talking, actually takes your characters easily a day and a half or so to realize this kind of thing. But then it goes beyond that. You also get a rudimentary understanding of what the planes themselves are like, how things on those planes are different. Like, for instance, when you're on the plane of fire, there's actually a lot of air to breathe. This is actually kind of funny because it's like you don't understand what it's like to be on not here, because none of you guys have ever been on not here. But you realize, actually, yes, mortals can go to places like plane of fire. Maybe your characters knew that before, maybe not, but you can physically travel there. The funny thing about physically traveling there is, again, you're subject to that plane. The fire plane has a ton of air inside of it. It has to. Fire is fueled by air, which then leads to these kind of like esoteric things that kind of like Elliot being like, I'm so curious. Is there a funnel between the plane of air that goes into the plane of fire to give it this constant, how does this happen? You know what I mean? So, of course, Elliot goes down that rabbit hole because that's just the way his mind works, right? Which is why he only got a 20 total using a luck die in language, because he started writing all these notes about things that are probably inaccurate, incorrect, and certainly aggravating for trying to get solid information. Awesome. So it's kind of like a lore dump about that kind of information for you guys. But most importantly, I actually want to take a moment to grab some images that we've seen before. I should say, hold on. All right, there we go. That I've seen before, that I've shared.
Not the cat suit picture. Scott, come on.
No. These are images that my patrons have seen a bunch of times beforehand. You guys could honestly straight Google search and see these kinds of things, but that's not what I wanted to click on. You guys could straight Google search and see these kinds of things as well. I'm just trying to see if I can actually grab one of these images. This is aggravating. Let's do it this way. Inspect. 1 second, please. Boom.
So, is it weird that Scott's talking about all this Avatar stuff before, and then basically just confirms the existence of Earth, Air, Fire, and Waterbenders?
Well, that's honestly entirely.
I mean, what the evocation magic is, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, but in a way like conjuration also.
Yeah,
If you think about the impressive firebenders and stuff can generate by themselves. So I suppose that's evocate. I don't know.
Have you not realized that Nathan is a firebender all along?
Well, I mean, I had my suspicions, but it wasn't confirmed. I mean, it makes a lot of sense now.
If I could choose one to be disregarding all like the types and what they're like what the different benders are like, fucking metal bending is fucking awesome.
Metal bending's pretty damn strong.
Honestly, if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, granted the book is old and terrible at this point, so it requires a heavy conversion. But if you look at the 3.5's Oriental Adventures Guide book, it has some really cool. He has 5 elements in it, and so it's like wood, water, all that kind of stuff, and it's actually really cool for going that bender concept. And there's actually a specific class in it. I can't remember the name of the class. It's like Waju or Wuju or some shit like that. But anyways, it's a really cool class, and it's literally again, all about more or less being benders. So I would suggest checking it out. All right, cool. So I get those.
Do that eventually.
I
mean, given how much Neil has aggravated the chat, I may need to go look up a new character soon.
I didn't aggravate the chat. I just walked up to the beehive and I went, and then put it back.
I'm putting 2 images inside chat here for you to check out. And this is more or less, if you want to think it, and so more or less, and I want to describe this fully and openly, because this is, again, kind of like a concept that as you characters are writing this down, you would almost imagine drawing images like these. I also have other charts sort of that you can look at too that are a little less picture-y and more like, solid information-y. So anyways, the more or less you want to imagine is if you look at the inner planes as being one sphere, like an actual sphere, right? Now, it's important to note that every plane itself is infinitely large in every direction. It is not finite, right? Every plane is infinitely large because, multiverse. Anyways, so if you imagine the planes being a sphere, you have on one, let's say the left side of the sphere from the perspective that you're holding it is fire. On the right side of the sphere is water. On the part closer to you is air. On the part far from you is earth on the sphere. The areas where earth and fire kind of get close to one another, there's a smaller plane, much smaller than the earth and the fire, and everything's infinite, but much smaller than the earth and the fire. On the crest where they start to get close to one another, that's where magma will form, so on and so forth. At the top of the sphere is positive, on the bottom of the sphere there's negative. On the area where fire and positive start to get close to one another, there is radiance, right? And down below there's ash, as we've described. So there's this like weird bleed over effect that happens all around the sphere with all these different planes. I think 16 planes is what it equates to in total, which is a lot. Yes, sir.
In these examples, fire is your elemental plane, magma is your demi-plane, and radiance is your quasi-plane.
Hold on. Fire is your core elemental plane. What was your next one?
Magma is your demi-plane, because it's a combination of 2.
Magma would actually, so the correct terminology is, my apologies,
You gave it to us before. It's
para.
para and
Para
quasi.
elemental. And then your next one, Neil?
It's a para elemental plane, and then radiance is quasi elemental plane.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And then the last two is the polar elemental planes. So
Positive and negative.
correct. And I'm actually going to snip something from one of my PDFs over into the Kingmaker chat over in Discord. I say all the time, if you're not a part of that Discord, you should definitely do so, because you're missing out on some stuff over there. I'm going to pop that in chat too, and then throw this into...
Maybe
you
you are
finally saw
forming
my joke in
eyes.
chat.
And then Marcus spoilers from season 4.
As soon as I found out a salt plane existed, I had to make a joke about it with chat. Like, I just had
Salt
to.
plane exists, isn't it?
It's too
So-
perfect.
Right inside Kingmaker, yeah, I know Salt Plane is pretty funny. And I actually made references to that forever ago. Like, we're talking season 2 or some shit. I made references to the Salt Plane. So that's over in the Kingmaker spoilers chat, so you guys can actually have that kind of written for you, so it's pretty easy to follow, right? Awesome. Does that make sense to you, Neil? If you're looking at that image that I just posted, cool, awesome. I try to keep it cleanly labeled so people can understand all those different things. Awesome, cool. So this is kind of like the basic understand that your characters learn, William. You get this information, but now beyond everything that I just lore dumped at you, I'm sure you also have your own degree of questioning, like as pertains to your character's background, maybe pertaining to yourself, so on and so forth. Feel free to ask any questions that you think your character would, please.
Well, first off,
And
my
Ilan,
character.
you can too. I'm so sorry to interrupt you right as you're starting. Because you were there for most of this, you can as well, Tesh. Will first, though.
But first off, my character would have a quick conversation with Elliot before asking his own questions. He would just basically say, "Elliot, with all this help you've given, like you're such an intelligent person. Why do you bear the work alone?"
Well, truth be told, as aggravating as it is, you don't know the Chosen very well. Though I think recently you came to understand some part of them in a rather explosive means. The Chosen are, to use the word paranoid would be an understatement to say the least. I'm going to be candid here because you've already been accepted into our fold, you've already been given responsibilities and trusted. It's highly unusual that you'd be trusted so quickly. They are paranoid about everything always, highly suspicious about everybody always. The idea that they didn't personally vet every individual possible member of a small group of people I would put together is almost impossible to believe. And the idea of putting onto their plate, vetting each individual person I want to have aid me along the way is going to be, they're usually not around because they have a lot of very important things that they handle. I don't know if you've realized, but like they do some pretty intense shit around here, things that I wouldn't want to deal with. So I figure if they're working that hard, I agree with their cause for the most part. I will work just as hard on my end.
Well, Elliot, as much as I'm sure they appreciate that, it's not as effective as if you had a team, and I'm sure you know that.
That's why we are a team that assists them.
What I think you should do is gather 3 to 5 apprentices or even have them paid, and I will personally make sure that I vet them to the likes of the Chosen. I will vouch for them, I will vet them, and I will
Your
do
voice
that.
is only as loud as mine. Even honestly, even so, it might even not be as loud because I've been around since before they were chosen, or at least known as such. The simple fact of the matter is, I think that matters such as what we're discussing need to be removed from their hands. I think that the council should be allowed to make votes in their absence so we can make decisions like this because, again, frankly, they're not around very often. And when they are, their plates are so full or they really just need a nap.
Why can't you make decisions without their...
We do make decisions pertaining to our own individual areas, but even still, they like to be very hands-on.
I understand it, but if you can make decisions like you just said about your own areas, like you just said, why don't you have some people help you?
I just answered your question. I'll answer it again gladly. You
I
don't
understand
the degree of paranoid that they are.
I understand they're paranoid, but you can make a decision, then make it. Bring the people. Are they going to kill the people for making that decision?
I don't know. Are they going to accidentally open the wrong door? Most people aren't as hardy as you.
Yeah, that was very stupid of them. I get the paranoia. I do. But maybe they shouldn't be opening doors that they don't know what they lead to.
True enough.
Vet good people. Vet smart people.
I would like to have a location outside of the castle where I can work on things. That way I wouldn't have to worry about how many. I honestly don't know how many traps they have around the place. Like when I heard that they started trapping doors, I stopped going throughout half the castle.
To be honest, I stopped touching them because I can't trust the things that they have on them.
They trap doors?
Trap doors.
Is that what that explosion was?
Yes, that is exactly what that explosion was, and I was taking most of the hit.
Hi, Ellen.
I was opening random doors that night. That's not good.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't open random doors unless you feel lucky.
Ellen, you might want to know that the entire keep used to be the central point of a massive curse linked to a staff that one of the previous chosen used to hold. It can be dangerous there.
All right. Well, Elliot, you don't seem so brazen to bring this up with the chosen. Do you mind if I at least mention it?
Well, you're welcome to do so. I do warn you, if you disagree with Rayrin, sometimes he comes swinging.
I think I could take a punch from Rayrin. Looks at him like, come on, it's Rayrin.
Then you look at Elliot and you're like, okay.
yeah. It's like you
Elliot's built like
you.
Neil, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I get it.
No.
You're built like me, Scott, just shorter.
Neil, again, I am not short.
Oh, okay, little boy.
Cross the pond, come find out. By the way, you have to legally wear a mask if you're here in quarantine for 2 weeks.
Oh, probably. You're probably going to live another 40 years.
I hope probably. At least 40 years.
Well, you're quite old. So there's still quite a lot of time for me to come over, not during the only pandemic we've had in how many years.
The questions that I don't think I would have any specific questions that I didn't already ask last week. I asked a lot last week.
Yeah. The only one that I think Ellen would have would be early on, before he understood the not being able to reach the other plane, fire plane, only dealing with the direct around it sort of stuff. He would ask if there was any way to reach out towards the positive energy plane, or when they did, how to try and connect them with the radiance plane even.
So pulling this back into the conversation in game. So more or less you're asking this creature if there's a way to reach out to the positive energy plane. And it would just tell you it doesn't know, because simply it doesn't when you asking questions about that thing, it's like that makes sense. Like when you're asking things like, oh, so when you're saying where the fire gets close to the magma, that causes this to happen, or you should say over there, that's because it gets close to the earth plane, and it's like, yeah, that makes sense. And okay, so the reason why radiance is because it's reaching up to the positive plane. It's like, that makes sense, but it doesn't necessarily know about the existence of the earth, and because it does to some small degree, but it is comprised, born of, and more or less has spent its life, actually spent most of its life here, but in that plane. So it has a stronger understanding than most other elementals of fire, because it's actually lived here with the mole most of its existence. But how do you reach out to the positive energy plane? It would just simply say, if you can reach out to it, then you are linked to it.
Okay.
So any other questions?
That would all be.
Any other questions that you would have? Because obviously, Will, you said that obviously you mentioned the questions you had asked last week pertaining to it. And obviously you were talking to Elliot, and he gave his concerns as to why he wouldn't do such things. Was there anything else that you cared to ask of the planes of this creature?
The only thing I would do is summon my fire eidolon as we're about to leave.
Yeah, because
And-
obviously Ilan is gone at this point. You've already dismissed the other one
Yep.
at this point. Yep.
And get him
I
to
would-
eat it.
And I would just say to keep him company, and I'll summon you if I need you, but to enjoy time with each other.
It's an important thing to note that when you actually summon this thing and you are able to converse with them, the elemental does not see the Eidolon as being one of it.
Right. That's fine.
Because it's important to note that because it doesn't see it as being one of itself, because the elemental, it's like that's one of those, yeah, I'm not saying that you'd be like, you guys are the same, right? Like, I'm not saying
Right.
your character's necessarily that ignorant, but you would get kind of like through conversation or whatever, the impression that the fire elemental does not see the Eidolon as being its same type of creature, same anything whatsoever, right?
Right.
So,
It's as much of the same creature as I am to the elemental. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just someone to keep it company because it said it wants company and conversation in its dying days.
of course, and even though the Eidolon only has like a 7 intelligence, I think it actually can speak Ignin, so it
Yeah.
actually can. I think the elemental only has like an 8 intelligence, anyways.
Yeah, so it's just gonna go back and forth.
Not exactly the brightest bulb.
Hi.
And it is important to note, because of the low intelligence and because of the charisma, that's one of the reasons why I was able to lore dump for you. You guys aren't able to get like crazy mountains of information. Awesome. Cool. Let's take a quick little break. And when we come back, we're going to jump all the way to the western parts of Idir into the mountains and what is happening out there. So we will
we should also roll HP before that.
Oh, because you guys leveled up after last session. Okay. Roll for health points.
Okay, so I'm a D8, I believe. I should have looked this up before I mentioned it.
Ah, I love it. That made me happy.
Every time.
Oh, no.
Chat, remember, he is the person that likes to distract from the campaign more than me. More than anybody else.
D8. Okay.
Don't help him. Listen,
I am
one
a-
needs help. Please, aid of the martyr to allow one to reroll, please. Aid of the martyr
I
to
am-
allow one to reroll.
A level 8 adventurer with 40.
Aid of the martyr to help one reroll, please.
45 max
What does
HP.
Oh my
God.
god.
No!
Oh, they can't see it on chat because it rolled beneath where the cutoff was.
Why do you roll well?
Can I have Nathan's hit dice, please?
Aid of the
Yeah.
martyr.
I'd like to use my my trait, natural ruler, to naturally rule that hit die is mine.
Somebody use Aid of the Martyr for specifically Neil to reroll. I hope he rolls a 1. I hope he rolls. Oh, he already rolled a 1, right? What did he roll before?
Yeah, he rolled a 1.
Oh, what
Just
a
leave
way.
it
Yeah,
there.
so did I.
You don't want
Oh,
Aid
no,
of
I
Honor.
rolled a 2.
Don't worry, guys. Nathan's all right.
Also, add 1 to the pool of luck for you.
So we're at 3.
Did you actually ask
Yep.
me to re-roll just then?
No.
Actually, yes.
You got to reroll.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I thought you were asking chat to do it, which I thought was kind. but
Roll a 1.
out of sorts.
So
Hey, you rolled a 2.
Snaga, thank you for giving Neil the reroll. The next reroll
Yeah,
that was
thank you,
needed was
Snapchat.
Jake, which is coming from Green. So you can thank Green.
Ooh, thank you, Green.
Here you go, and reroll.
Alright,
away.
I can only
Get
do
away.
it.
All right, hold on on the aids. Okay, so who's up next? Ilan.
Yay.
You also get a reroll. This one's coming from Snaga.
Thank you, Snaga.
I'm just taking them in order of people put. And coming from Oklo, there is one more reroll that somebody can use. All of you rolled horrible consistently, except for you, Will. Who wants this next reroll?
I want it.
Not you.
Go on one.
No, you don't want to
I
reroll.
wanted to
you
roll a
can
max
reroll.
health. That would have been hilarious.
Technically, 2 were offered for Jake. 1 was offered to Neil, 1 was offered to Ilan, and 1 was where applicable. So,
Yeah, give it to Jake.
Jake,
because,
you can reroll again.
There's no fixing this shit right now. 47 HP at level 8. Like, it's like, oh, look at this bullet wound. And there's a plus.
So I get a reroll. Ready? Let's watch it be lower again.
Okay. Oh, man.
Ah!
A
It's
one.
the lowest so far. It's the lowest so far.
This
Oh my
is
God.
this is hell. This is why I take averages whenever I level up now.
Oh my God. Chat, are we gonna give any more rerolls? I'll
That
give
was
10.
vicious.
I'll give 10 seconds for this. Yeah, we're gonna go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we had 2 more rerolls come in. One from Green, one from Vance. I'm gonna give the first one straight up to you, Jake, because you're the warrior guy and you're the one hurting the most.
Yeah.
So
Well, I can't do
the
better.
other
I think I
from
rolled a
Green.
1, so I can't do worse than that.
Exactly. And then we'll stop with you. And we'll stop
You
with the
did roll a
rerolls.
one.
It's gonna be a max roll, Jake. Calling it.
I think it's gonna be a 7. Neil, you get the next reroll if you'd like it.
Yeah, I mean, what am I on?
Better
I'm on
get
a
it
4,
done.
so I rolled a 2 before.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
Oh!
You are right. You are so
Oh my
right.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
That is such a
dang.
huge.
Ilan, you get the next reroll unless you want to pass
I
it.
get a...
Yep.
No, I want. I'm out. Peace, goodbye, guys.
What is with this? Our hit die rolling is our worst rolling.
Vince
By far.
Exo says to you, Jake, stop using my daddies, and gives you a reroll.
I'm sorry.
Poor chat. They're like.
I don't even.
Can I use my daddies?
They're
Can I
trying to.
use my daddies?
They're trying desperately to steer us away from this disaster, and we're just like,
Okay.
no, it's fine.
I've increased it by 2. I'm good.
It's significantly better than one.
I have 4,000 daddies. Can I use my daddies?
Yeah, stop.
Not
it.
in
Get some
this
help.
game. All right, are we gonna do any more for Ilan here? Are we gonna try to give Ilan something better than his 1?
Jeez.
How?
Any one person?
How is this?
Dude, it's insane. It's insane how terrible.
One.
So bad.
Aklo's giving to you, Ilan. Go right ahead.
Like,
Thank
roll-
And
you.
then chat,
Thank you, Oklo.
stop
Two.
redemptions again, chat. Thank you. Woo!
I'll take it. That's it. I'm good.
And then
I ain't
Solid.
touching a thing again.
Jake,
Nice.
Jake, you got what? So they came. Sorry, Ellen specifically. That came from Aklo.
Oklo, thank you. Thank you so much.
Green is giving you another one, Jake.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, literally.
Here comes a 1, guys.
Now, before I roll, I just want to shout out chat. Thank you very much. All the support is
Yeah, we give you a lot of
appreciated.
shit for Trumps and stuff, but if
We
you
love
want to
you.
Trump us, you need to do this so that we survive the Trumps, or like, otherwise it's just a smackdown.
What is happening?
Hold on, nobody do daddies. Jake, I was waiting to see if I had to refund it or not. Vince Sexel gave you one more reroll, and that's it. This is it. I'm not doing any more. We've already done 600.
Let's see if
There's
it
so many rolls.
decreases again.
That is the worst rolling. Like statistically, what are the chances of rolling this badly?
This is 15 rolls.
I'm gonna thank everyone all the same. Thank you.
Can you just type /roll 1d8? I just want to see whether it's this curse macro.
Like,
Right, let's see.
did you roll above? What?
The highest he rolled
Yeah,
was
it's
a
the
6.
curse macro.
Yeah,
The
curse
highest he rolled
macro.
was a 4.
What?
Scott, can we not use that next time we level?
Yeah.
No, you have to use it every time.
Evil. What is this?
Oh.
All right, I'm gonna do one more thing before I pop off because I think I corrected it in this campaign. Okay. I didn't know if you guys knew this, so I'll do this right before we pop off, and then we're gonna get back to the game. Sorry, you take our break, get back to the game. You guys are all familiar with. Oh, hold on, let me cancel this. Let me come over to this screen over here so we can see. You guys are all, of course, familiar with the Aid of the Martyr, right?
Yes.
and how it pops up like this and gives you some health points, and yay, it
Not
looks a
really,
little
but now I
different.
am.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Cool.
new. And I also saw some other stuff you were working on, Scott, which I imagine you're
Yeah, I
gonna
see
talk-
some
I
more
changed-
mineral macros.
I changed some.
going on
Yeah, I know.
here?
Minimum roll again. I changed prayer of the gods, or prayer of the martyr, I think it originally was, to be changed something else. It's been chat has called it penance of the arbiter. So we have that god
Ooh.
represented, and that's going to be the old prayer version, right? So that's the plus one, blah 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 blah. And then we have the last one. This is a pretty intense one. This
That's one of
actually,
the best god. You
This
might
one's
say.
this is a new one.
Oh my lord! Right, blessings. Of
Yeah, this is this is the reason why I couldn't take a certain spell.
One extra. Oh.
Is this
Oh.
haste?
No, this is a blessing of fervor.
Yeah.
It lasts for 10 rounds. So at the top of every round, I click it again, which floods chat, and type how many rounds happen to be left in it, right? So you can keep track.
You roll
Oh,
a
cool.
dice. You roll a dice.
No, you choose.
You choose every round which of those you
Yeah,
want.
it's fucking powerful.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I nearly took that as a spell, and Scott's like, no, we're making that a prayer thing.
The only thing is because we don't
Yeah,
want it
if
to.
it wasn't a chat thing, it's almost like in Pathfinder, if you're a cleric or something, it's
It
that's a
legitimately,
spell that
I
you
thought it
need
was
to take.
overpowered just looking at it. I'm like,
The only
Very
thing
strong.
is, this is a chokehold in combat. This is a gate clogger. If you sit there and, okay, on my turn, which one
Yeah,
do
that's
I?
Yeah.
You have to decide
I-
that well before your turn. So you go,
I'm
right, it's
not
my
even
turn. I'm taking this
remotely
news.
salty about not taking it. As soon as you said we're getting that as the blessing, I'm like, that makes much more sense. I'm cool with
It's
it.
It's
so
a really
powerful,
cool chat
really, yeah.
interaction one.
Yeah. And we thought about maybe doing like a lesser one for only one PC, but then I was like, no, we're going to do just the greater one.
Oh yeah, and it is
Yeah.
expensive as it should be.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's for
It's-
10 rounds, it's a whole minute.
I mean, yeah, that's potentially a combat win.
Mm.
Compared, like
Oh,
that
yeah,
could turn a
it's-
combat
Look,
from a
look at the
loss
bottom
to-
one. Look at the bottom, because you're all casters in this campaign. Look at the bottom one. Cast a single spell of second level or lower with a free meta magic thrown on there. Like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
So what? Oh no, never mind. That's
All right.
I was going to ask what they mean, what those meta magics do, but I could just look it up.
Well, one of the, again, let's go take our break. But one of the other
I'll look
things
it
that
up,
I
yeah.
loved was the increase your speed. Remember how much like Ilan felt not powerful in that combat? Ilan can
Yeah.
get to where he needs to be, like, you know.
Hi, I'm here now.
Yeah.
Did you? I saw Scott was just Wonder Woman for me. Like,
Right. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I'd totally dress up as Wonder Woman for Halloween. You can make it happen. All right. We'll be back.
okay. Sub goal, bit goal. What's it got to be?